What is up, YouTube? Carter here. Welcome to Edged Mindset, home of the Edged Mindset. Can I take your order? Got another video for you. We're talking about the Strider 0.75, Strider AR 0.75. Man, sometimes I just can't think. I've already done a video on this. I did a review on this. This is the second one of these I bought. I sold my first one because I didn't really care for the finish on the blade. It was the same as this. Tonto blade had blue titanium, which I love the blue titanium. I didn't love the finish on the blade. It was kind of a satin tumbled, not stonewashed, tumbled thing. But that's not the primary reason I sold it. I sold it because I'm an idiot. And I was doing the usual like impromptu thing where I'm like, oh, I get money, get something else. And you just throw it up for sale, and then somebody buys it, and then before you know it, you're shipping it out, and then you're kind of like, should I have sold that? So I sold it, and I really missed it. Came across this one. Fell in love with the black blade with this tumbled titanium. The only thing that would make this better is if the hardware was black. I think that would look straight fire. But I love this thing, man. Aesthetically speaking, I look at this knife and it is one of my favorite knives. And I know some people don't care for it, which it's crazy, man. Potato. No, not potato. One man's treasure, another man's garbage. It's crazy how differing opinions of knives. Some people look at a knife and they're like, this is the most beautiful thing. Awesome. I love it. Other people see it. They don't like it. Case in point on me, Koenig Arius. Don't love the Koenig Arius. I appreciate the work that went into it. I understand why people like it. I just don't care for the way it looks. It just bugs me. I don't like it, especially the flipper version. I don't like it. And depending on when this video goes up, ironically, I'm actually going to be getting a Koenig Arius. So you'll get my opinion on it. Maybe it'll change. Maybe I'll be blown away by the way it functions. But back to where I was, before I digress, back on track, we're talking about this awesome knife, this poor, misunderstood knife. I feel really bad for this guy. I love it. This is one of my favorite releases that I've seen in this space. I think it's sized amazingly well. I think the materials are great. I think the form factor is amazing. The manufacturing is top-notch, although I will talk about something here in a minute that I've experienced with both mine that I want to bring up to you guys. A little bit of an issue. It's not a major issue, but a little bit of a thing there. But really, it's taking Strider's design and then it's applying Medford's manufacturing prowess to make a truly cool offering that I think is worth the money. Some people say it's a little overpriced. I get that. But to me, this one is outstanding to the point where, despite it being a little on the pricier side, I am so tempted to pick up another one if a good configuration pops up that I like and at a good price. I mean, it is a knife that I might get another of. It would probably be a drop point. May or may not be satin. I'm not quite sure. But I really, case in point. So TLDR, I really love this knife. It's one of the few that I've consistently enjoyed every time I take it out, every time I look at it, every time I use it, every time I hold it, every time I carry it. Really like it. Your mileage may vary. You know, obviously there's some stuff in here. Like if you're just a straight up, I just need a cutting tool with high quality, dependable steel, you're going to go for like a Paramilitary 2 or Spyderco or something like that. But for those that kind of are more into the form factor and materials aspect of this hobby, this is a straight up winner, but it's a sad story because this is a bit of a bastard knife. I said it. It is. It doesn't have a home. This poor knife doesn't have a home. Nobody wants it. If you show this on the Strider forums, at best, you'll be ignored. At worst, you'll be lambasted. Comments like, cool, where's the Strider? I don't see a Strider in that picture. Why don't you get a real Strider? We only have real Striders on this forum. They don't want anything to do with this knife because it seems like Strider guys don't like Medford, and they don't like Medford knives. Medford guys generally like Strider, or at best, they just ignore them, right? So it's somewhat of a one-way street where Strider does not like Medford. but it doesn't really flip the other way, at least not for most people. Obviously, there's Medford guys that hate Strider for various reasons. People hate everything, everywhere at some point. That's one thing I've learned in my long life here on Earth. There's always somebody that hates something. But if you show this on the Strider forums or groups or whatever, they're not going to respect it. They're not going to consider it a real Strider. Now, some of this is a little bit of bad blood, because when this first came out, the fact that it was manufactured by Medford wasn't necessarily super clear to everybody. And I think a lot of Strider guys saw this and were super excited about it and really happy to get it. And when they found out it wasn't made in the Strider shop and it was made by Medford, they were kind of upset. They felt like they may have been misled a little bit. And I think that added a little bit of fuel to that fire. And so they just don't really like it. Now, if you post this on a Medford forum, you're not going to get the hate or the pushback or comments like that. But not everybody at Medford knows Medford made this knife. A lot of people don't know. They think it's a Strider-made knife. So if you post this on a Medford forum, they'll be like, oh, cool knife. I don't know why you're posting it on Medford, but yeah, whatever. That's cool. I like it. It looks good. So it's a knife without a home. It kind of fits in between there. It's a lot of people don't consider it a Medford. They don't consider it a Strider. It's this weird Frankenstein, which normally wouldn't be a big deal if it wasn't such an awesome knife, at least in my opinion. I feel bad for it because this really should have been just a home run across the board. Being able to do a full tie, carryable, but still beefy version of the Strider AR done well should have been. It sells well, right? It sells out. So it's not like it's not selling. They sell pretty good on the secondary market. I mainly mean on the fan side of things. You know, when you get into supporting certain brands or certain types of knives, that side of things is where it doesn't really have a home. It is selling, so that's good. You know, it was a nice venture. I really hope to see more of these Medford produced knives. I want to see a full-size version of the AR, the GB. I mean, you name it. I don't think we'll ever see an SNG or an SMF because the Strider custom shop is still producing, I forget what they call them, but production versions of those knives, which is a whole story in and of itself, talking about Strider and Dwayne Dwyer and the breakup there, and then the no more production knives, but actually we're going to do a few more production knives, but they're going to be super limited. That kind of thing is a whole different ball game. Yeah, so sorry guys, just I have these thoughts on these things, these knives, and I think them to myself, and then sometimes I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll put this in front of a camera, see if anybody else cares what I'm thinking about. Maybe not, probably not. The other thing I wanted to mention with this knife, this is the second one I've opened. Second one I've owned. Both my first one and this one, both of these are out of the latest run. So that's a key point. Both of these had lock slip out of the box. And by lock slip, I just mean if you completely take all pressure off of this lock bar and push on this blade, you'll get it to flex a little bit. You'll get it to slide a little bit. Sebenzas will do that, and it's for a similar reason to this, I think. I have some theories as to why this knife does that, but the main thing I wanted to point out is you can fix it. You can fix it. I fixed it. I fixed it in this one. It's still not 100% gone. If I do a soft open, I'll get some. If I do a hard open, like I'm not really getting anything. If I do a hard open, it is completely gone and rock solid. If it's a super light, I'll get a little bit still, but it's 90%, 95% gone. And as I continue to use this knife and open it, it's going to go more and more. Really, all I did, I don't want to give away too much because when you talk about tampering with knives, it's a touchy subject. But I did do some tweaking to this knife, took it apart, did some minor tweaking. We're not talking voiding warranty, or it shouldn't void warranty, although I guess if I said exactly what I did, it probably would void warranty. But it's one of those things where if you were to take this to Strider or Medford and they took it apart, they would never know, right? They wouldn't say, oh, somebody's messed with this. So very minor nudging to get it to go away. And I think the issue lies in the carbonization that Medford uses. I don't think when Strider designed this knife, I think they designed it as a titanium on steel setup. When you have titanium interfacing with steel, you can get away with some minor geometry offness because the two metals will stick together and cover up any minor issues that you have. But I think when Medford did their carbonization on this lock face, it allowed some of those minor imperfections to kind of bubble up and become a little bit present, and that's what you get with the lock slip. Now, it is a very minor lock slip. We're talking if you place an index finger lightly on the lock bar, it won't happen. Right? We're talking barely slipping. So I was able to remove that, and I would imagine if you break the knife in over a long period of time, it would also slowly go away. I just kind of helped speed up the process. So if you have that, first of all, first question, anybody that has an older generation, do you have any lock slip? However minor it is. Second of all, if you have the newer generation, do you have any lock slip? And if you do, it is possible to make it go away, or you can just leave it. It's not a big deal. Knives aren't meant to have that kind of force. When you put the knife in your hand, you're automatically applying force onto this lock bar, and you will not feel any lock slip if you're actually gripping the knife. Only if you go out of your way to touch the frame and really put some force on it, you'll get a little slip. Not fail, just a little bit of movement, a little bit of slippity sliding. But if you do care, it is possible to make it go away. I guess if you want to send me a message, I can tell you how to do that, although I don't know. It's probably irresponsible to do that, but just as an FYI. But more importantly, I'm just curious if other people have this issue. When I got my first one, I thought maybe it was just a fluke in that particular knife, just the way it's put together, the way the carbonizing was done. Maybe it caused an issue, but I had the same thing with this one. But I have resolved it in this knife. And I absolutely love it. One of my favorites. Like, this is a big go-to knife for me. Has just enough style and flair to be cool and interesting, but it's not obnoxious. It's not in your face. It's not ridiculous. It's not unwieldy. It's substantial, but it's carryable. It's usable. It cuts well. Really cool knife. All right, guys. So a few thoughts on the Strider AR .75. In my opinion, despite it selling very well, I don't think it's as rated as it should be. Still a little underrated in my opinion. Let me know down below if you feel the same about this knife. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. I know a lot of people don't love it. I really like this knife. I think it's great. So let me know down below what you think. Till next time, I'm out. See you.